Tlachtga, the origin of Halloween. The Eve. I find it fascinating that the birthplace of Halloween can be traced back to a hill site in County Meath. Tlachtga is the ancient name for what is now the Hill of Ward, close to the small town of Atboy. Recently we took a trip to this ancient site and found it fascinating to be where it all began so long ago. Although the Halloween we know today is very different from how things started, there are still a lot of similarities to be found, with some new traditions picked up over the years. For this story, we have to go way back, 2,000 to 3,000 years back in fact. Pre-Christian Ireland was a pagan country at this time, and Druids were the priests, teachers and judges to the Celtic people. The Celtic people lived by the Celtic calendar, which was quite different from the calendar we use today. Their year was split into the dark half of the year, winter, and the light half, summer, with pagan feast dates marking the seasons and fire festivals throughout the year. One such important festival was Samhain, celebrated on October 31st to the 1st of November. For the ancient Celts, Samhain was a day that marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the colder, darker half of the year. It was also said to be the end of the Celtic year, and essentially their New Year's Eve. Fittingly, we can still see the Gaelic word Samhain, meaning summer's end, in the modern Irish calendar as the word for November. The Celts believed that at this time between 31st of October and the 1st of November was a time when the veil between our world and the other world, which was the spirit world, was at its thinnest, and spirits could freely come back to visit us. Departed family ancestors were welcome, but evil spirits were not. It is said that on this night, at the junction between summer and winter, the Druids of Ireland assembled on the hill of Tlachtga to carry out the first Samhain ritual and light the sacred fire. Before the Druids lit the fire, all village and settlement fires across the country were to be extinguished, plunging the world into darkness. Animals were sacrificed that night and their bones were put in the fire as thanks to the gods for the harvest that year and the coming year. This is where the word bonfire or bone fire comes from. When the High King, waiting anxiously at Tara, 12 miles away, saw the flames rise from the massive fire at Tlachtga, he could rest easy knowing his people were safe from the forces of darkness for another year. People would come from all over the country on pilgrimage to take embers from the sacred fire and bring them back to their villages and settlements. Every fire in the country was said to be relit from the sacred fire of Tlachtga. The people would gather at their settlement bonfires known as the Éanach or assembly, where they would feast and hold games involving fruits of the recent harvest, such as hazelnuts and apples. The Celtic people would wear costumes, masks, and carve scary faces onto turnips in order to confuse the evil spirits and drive them away. As a time devoted to the dead, it was common to set a place at the dinner table for departed ancestors and light candles in the window to help guide the spirits to the family home. It was also believed that the Sidhe, or the fairies, and the Tuatha Dé Danann would run amok and cause mischief if they too weren't paid proper respect on the night. The ritual of lighting the bonfire and celebrating the festival of Samhain continued across the pagan world for hundreds of years, but change was coming. In 432 AD, St. Patrick arrived in Ireland, spreading the word of Christianity to the pagan people. The Roman Church did not agree with the pagan ways, and their religious beliefs clashed. Over the next 200 to 300 years, most pagans in Ireland had converted to Christianity, but kept some of the pagan traditions. As Christians also honoured the dead, they chose November 2nd as All Souls' Day on the Christian calendar, and November 1st as All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Day, making October 31st All Hallows' Eve, and eventually Halloween. Christians kept up celebrations at this time, adopting some of the old traditions. Ironically, the pagan festival of Samhain was kept alive by the Roman Church in what we now know as Halloween. The modern Irish word for Halloween is Oíche Shana, meaning Eve of Samhain. To a large extent, the original sacred meaning of the fires at pagan festivals has been lost, and in Ireland the main use of a bonfire remains at May Day or Lá Bealtaine and Halloween I Hahauna. Although somewhat detached from the original meaning, the custom persists. Celebrations at the Hill of Ward have recommenced at Halloween as recently as the year 2000, led by a small group of Wiccans or modern-day Druids in a kind of theatrical performance rather than a religious ritual.
By pale moonlight, light our fire on Samhain night. Tlachtga, lady goddess fair, come to us on frosted air. Guide our path by pale moonlight.
Gleim ríchanir agus an pradón san isca. Gleim an cailleach. Thar is Jack agus céad míle fáilte.
The ancient name for the hill, Tlachtga, comes from a mythical ancient Irish goddess or druidess. The name translates to earth spear. She was said to be daughter to the evil druid Mágrua and died giving birth to 3 sons on the hill, where she was buried also.
I am Tlachtga, goddess of Samhain, warrior of earth and spear, daughter to Mágrua, warlock and sun god, mother to 3 sons, Dorb, Cuma and Muach. I am the gate, the passageway from this world into the next, and on this hill I await, hold fire for all those who have wronged me.